Hello guys and welcome to this week's tutorial on ProRPA.com. Today we'll be talking about some of the additional capabilities that Blue Prism has which facilitates the overall bot creation process. So these capabilities are gonna come really handy when we'll be actually developing like more robust, reliable and sophisticated bots doing like multiple processes like one after the other and so on, right? So we have discussed, I guess, a few of these in previous blog posts, but at a very high level. And today we're gonna talk about them at, I would say, more granular level, right? So the first and foremost thing, we're gonna open a process, right? And that's what we do. That's what we have been talking about. And well, this is an old program, I don't know, in our last week's post or something. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first talk about control play, right? So I also showed you the like execution speed with like that we can change it once we have a running program. That if you want to do it like faster, if you want to run a program faster, a bot faster, then we just have to change the execution speed from here. Like this drop down that we get, the debug speed, we can make it fast and slow, right? So control play, we have already shown the difference, and it really comes handy if you're just at the testing phase, you want to see at a pace which is comprehensible by the user to see if all these steps are being executed in the correct sequence or not, right? Another thing that we're gonna talk about is gonna be the breakpoint. So what happens is we, like the RPA developer, has the way to put breakpoints to any stage. And what happens is whenever the compiler gets to that particular stage, it stops. Or let me rephrase it, it pauses. It pauses, but it won't start unless the user provides like the option to start it again, to resume its execution, right? So this comes handy, let me tell you in which sort of cases. So let's imagine that you have a very complex robot, RPA bot, which is doing multiple calculations, operations, interacting with external applications and performing clicks and all this stuff. So once you're trying to re-execute the bot, you see that like it works perfect at a certain point, but after that it's failing, right? It's not working as per the expectation as to what you programmed it or what you intend to do. Then in that case, you may want to put a breakpoint at the stage where you know that up till this point the program is working just fine, right? And after that you have different ways to debug the program, which again we are gonna keep discussing in subsequent blog posts. So just to show an example in this case, if you remember when we were running this, let's go it in the fastest speed possible to 3442. You can see it's going on 100 and done, right? So we did this, that if this number is less than 100, that's the expression we have. Then if you remember, we actually went through this example where we wanted to see how iteratively loop works. And what I'm gonna do is I already reset this. I'm gonna set a breakpoint. So anytime it comes to check counter, it's gonna, like, we just have to hit right click and set the breakpoint. Anytime it comes to this particular stage, the program is gonna pause, right? So let's see how that works. Stopped. Breakpoint was reached. Close. Stop. Right? Again, breakpoint was reached. Close. If you want to run it again, you see the counter is going like for each iteration. It's not like that it's been resetting and re-executing or something. It's resuming once I click on this go button here. So it's gonna go on till 100, right? So it may not, I mean, it's actually a good capability. It may not make sense right now, but you can imagine, right? If you have a huge program, a huge, like involving a lot of stages in here, if the process is very complex, then you would want to set up a few breakpoints to see that, like imagine this, right? You have an SAP application, any enterprise level application. It's working perfect at one screen, but when you go to the next screen, it works only at a certain point and then it fails. So you may want to put a breakpoint at the stage which is like where there's a possibility for for the error to occur. So what happens is, in this case, like whichever stage has been set as the breakpoint, that doesn't execute once like the iteration happens, right? Once this stage will not be executed before the execution starts for this stage. The breakpoint, that window pops up, and once we click on the go button, then first this stage gets executed, and then whatever the case may be, if it is down the line more stages, then it's gonna continue executing that unless a breakpoint is reached, or in some cases the end stage itself is reached, because that's not a contingency that you have to have breakpoints in a looping statement or something, right? Okay, and last thing that we're going to talk about is stepping. So there are different ways in which a user can traverse to next stages. Once we click go button, the execution happens, or it keeps on continually. It happens unless a breakpoint is reached or an end stage is reached. But let's say I don't want to do that. I want to do one stage at a time, right? I don't want to execute the whole program in a single go. Then and you don't want to put breakpoint on each and every stage either, because that's gonna look terrible, and that's gonna be like, once you have the breakpoint set, then you would want to remove those breakpoints once you think that you have debugged the program successfully. It doesn't make sense. It's gonna be a lot of work. So if you see, I just took off the breakpoint, which you can do the same by just right clicking and selecting the breakpoint option again. I'm going to reset this, and stepping. So what I was talking about is, if you want to start one stage at a time, then we have this step, right? In case I have already reset this, so it's going to start from this start stage itself. If not, like even if you have a breakpoint reached or something, you can step, and only the next activity, the next stage would be executed and nothing else. It will stop. It will temporarily halt the program at that particular stage after executing it, of course. So you see start, and it's incrementing the counter by 1. It's there, but it hasn't executed yet. Now if you go there, the counter is 1 now. You see the change has happened, and now the compiler is on this particular stage. If you hit step again, it gets to the anchor stage, right? Next again anchor, then again increment counter by 1. It hasn't executed it yet, it's just at that stage. Executed, and counter is moved to 2, right? So I mean, if you want to do one stage at a time, no matter what, even if let's say there was a possibility that this particular stage might be referencing to another page, like we call it the sub page, or probably an object as well, that's not gonna matter. It's gonna go to the next stage of that sub page or object or whatever the case may be, but only one stage at a time, no matter where the stage resides, right? Okay, next is gonna be step over. So step over executes one complete stage at a time, right? Let's do this. I'll show you what step over does. So it completely executes the checking counter, and you may think it's exactly as step, but I'll tell you the difference, right? So imagine if there was this particular stage may have been referencing to other objects which may have, or other sub pages which might have like nested pages within it, and then probably some objects also underlying it. If we are on the main page and we click on the step over, all those underlying stages would be executed in a single go. That means no matter what, like on whichever stage you're executing the step over, that stage would completely get executed, no matter how many references are there, no matter how many, how much time it's gonna take. It's gonna happen instantly. I mean, like in the fastest speed possible, right? You may have 1,000 subpages lying in here in this process studio that this particular stage might be referencing to. Then if you step over, all those 1,000 pages would be executed in like pretty much instantly, or like as fast as possible, depending on the computer speed as well, right? So like that's the difference. If we would have gone with this step, it would have gone to the referenced page and the first stage within that referenced page. That's it. It would have stopped there, versus step over would complete one particular stage altogether. Last but not certainly least is called the step out. So what step out does is it will complete all the activities of a single page in a single go. I'll show you. This is a perfect example, right? We just did step over and it didn't even show like the fast execution. It did the execution. The counter was 3, it went to 100. That means actually 100 iterations happened in a single go, right? Or 97 in that case. So all the underlying activities of a page would get executed using step out activity with just a single click, right? I hope the differences were pretty clear. We are probably gonna, when we'll be talking about the debugging and probably in later cases as well, we'll be dealing with these sort of capabilities a lot. So, I mean, it was important to walk through them, and it would really help in building a robust automated process. And as we mentioned before, that businesses are enthusiastic about RPA because RPA has the capability to build reliable automated processes, and these reliable automated processes development is facilitated using these inbuilt amazing sophisticated capabilities, right? So you gotta make the best use out of it, and get hands-on experience so that when you'll be developing bots specific to the business processes that you may be undergoing on a daily basis or something, then definitely these are gonna come really, really helpful and handy. All right, this is it for this week, guys. Let me know how you like the video and also the blog post. Please do share your love, your likes, your comments, your feedback, anything. If you don't like, if you want to change it, if there's a more productive way to go forward, please do let me know and I'll be more than happy to address it. I'm starting the Pro RPA Challenge. So if you're in a college or in a company, in any professional environment, then and you have like RPA interested folks of like about a group of 5 or more, probably just shoot me an email on info@prorpa.com, and we can probably have an online Skype session or something to to showcase how an RPA application looks like. Could be Blue Prism, could be UiPath, totally depends on you guys, and we can probably go from there, right? And probably like a walkthrough of example and a benefit realization of RPA. All right, this is it for this week. If you wanna have like a one-time learning experience and more thorough yet crisp, then please do check out my video tutorials, which are available on Udemy and Skillshare. And we also have the books available on Amazon across all marketplaces, which is called CRISPR Learning for Blue Prism. The same is the case for UiPath, and we have ServiceNow books now as well. So please do check them out, and happy automating. Thank you very much. Goodbye.